What's going on, everybody? So there's a bit of a concert in Portland, a gospel concert, as you will, and I got a problem because let's just start the video.
Controversial worship leader and political activist. KGW's Kyle Aboshi is live in Southwest Portland. Kyle.
Pat, we just left that concert outdoor revival. There were hundreds, maybe even thousands of people gathered there, and the overwhelming majority did not have masks and were not social distance. The crowd came to see worship leader and political activist Sean Feucht. He's held similar crowded outdoor service.
Isn't that interesting that so often so often Christians are the ones to be anti-mask. I'm not trying to profile people. I just noticed there was a lot of people that were anti-mask, and so often it happens they're part of some church or something that believes God's gonna protect them or they're somehow different. We're all in this together. And this fucker, sometimes when you roll a joint, it just doesn't want to burn even. There we go.
On the beaches in California in defiance of coronavirus lockdown guidelines there. Organizers dubbed the event Riots to Revival and say they hope to, quote, flip the script by bringing worship, prayer, and acts of kindness to Portland. Many of those we spoke with were from out of town, including Longview and Central Oregon. When asked about a lack of masks in the crowd, any concerns?
No, my faith's in God, not fear of that. I'm good.
And most of us are just here for this and then we're leaving, so I don't think it's going to have an impact on Portland. But I don't know, I'm not a scientist.
We're not big mask people, so it doesn't bother us.
So, let's go back to this lady.
Have an impact on.
My faith's in God, not fear of that. I'm good.
And most of us are just here for this and then we're leaving, so I don't think it's going to have an impact on Portland.
So the problem that I'm running into is religion can sometimes stand in the way of science and medicine. And this is where it can put us in danger when people somehow think that they're outside the rules. By the way, this is KGW News, just for fair use. Some people think they're outside the rules because they think they have some exception that like God's gonna protect them or something. It's not exactly something I understand. But I've known that in the past we've had a habit as humans of believing that we have some special mumbo jumbo that someone else doesn't have, and I don't
know, I'm not a scientist.
We're not big.
Oh yeah, and for her to just walk by people that are gonna stay in the city, and what if there are people that live in the city too. Like if you leave and any of you have coronavirus and it can God walk by someone and you contact them. It doesn't matter if you leave, if the person is staying.
Mask people, so it doesn't bother us.
I think we come knowing what the risks are and, come, just on our own, knowing.
It's frustrating that she's like, oh, we come knowing the risk. Well, what about the risk you're putting on others? It's all about you, isn't it?
Hey, we're putting our, either we put ourselves at risk or.
State rules clearly note faith gatherings are capped at 50 people with physical distancing for indoors or outdoors. This event was obviously in violation of that. There were a handful of counter-protesters who at one point chanted, "Wear a mask" to that crowd. A similar event is scheduled for Seattle tomorrow.
Thanks, Kyle. Amazing to see that crowd. It'll be interesting to see the fallout both legally and politically from that one. Thanks a lot.
It's frustrating because, you know, like the southwest side of Portland in Beaverton is like the more evangelical part. Shocking, it's where the money is. Most of Portland is not a fan of, like, they're not. I wouldn't say that most of Portland is staunchly anti-religion, but we're not a fan of religion barging in and invading quality of life. It's just not something that we're enthusiastic about here. As long as you're not stepping on anyone, it's no problem with me. But this is a problem. You know, these Christian gatherings, these churches have been known to be hotbeds for COVID. Nothing specific to being Christian. It's just when you gather in numbers like this, it's just, there's been people in many churches that have said, "Fuck COVID, I'm not wearing a mask," and then they die from it. There's lots of news stories about different people in entire churches that have gotten COVID. There's large numbers of people in specific churches. So this isn't just like out of thin air. Like, we've been here before. I don't understand. Stay the fuck out of Portland. You're wrecking it for all of us.